curious about something, Greg. Going back to the beginning, Corf, the village where it all started. Before you could even build that school, you got your $12,000 from Dr. Herney. You got your supplies. You were ready to go. And they said, oops, we don't need the school right now. We need a bridge.
Yes.
Which threw you for a loop. But you said in here, the people of Corf had a hard life, but they also lived with a rare kind of purity. I knew the bridge would help them get to a hospital in hours instead of days, and would make it easier to sell their crops. But I couldn't help worrying about what the outside world coming in over that bridge would do to Corf. So 12 years later, what has it done? That's what I really want to know. How has Corf changed, if at all?
Well, there's been profound change as far as people and also their access to the outside world. The ironic thing is, I was thinking at the time, I was worried about the outside world coming in. But what I didn't contemplate, and I've learned, is that in Islamic culture and many parts of the world, when a woman gets married, often her maternal ties are severed. And my wife, she used to.
She'll appreciate that.
We got married we met and got married in 6 days in '95.
And she's still learning things about you.
So she works in she used to volunteer, she's a clinical psychologist, but she volunteered in a battered women's shelter. But when a woman gets married, often there's a very ceremony where the groom's family and the bride's family kind of part, and then the bride is clutched by her mother, and the groom's family starts to pile down offers of gold and land as a dowry, which is a bride price. And then at some point, when the father of the bride is satisfied with the pile, he nods, and then the groom's family pulls the bride away from her mother, and they symbolically wail and scream. But what it does is see the maternal ties become severed. And so with both the bridge and the education, the bridge, now the women on Fridays, which is Juma, their holy day, they go cross the bridge and they go see their extended family, whereas before, because of the lack of bridge, it's unladylike for them to, kind of go on a little pulley car or something. And the girls, the first thing that happens when they can learn to read and write is they start writing letters for their mothers to their maternal support system.
That's so lovely.
And if you want to disempower people or families or women, the first thing you do is you cut off their support network. I started out to honor my sister Krista, and then I really just got on a mission to help with education, literacy. But what I've really learned, what's most important is to listen to the women and the people. And I asked the women, what do you want most in life? And you'd think most women might say, I want a good husband, or I want affluence or wealth. But what most women tell me in the villages is they say, we don't want our babies to die. That's what they say. And if you really want to answer that question, obviously healthcare would help. 1 out of 3 children born dies before the age of 1 in many areas. But the real answer to that is through female literacy and education. Girls' education does 3 things if they can get a 5th grade education: reduce infant mortality, reduce the population explosion, and number 3, improve the basic quality or indices of life and health itself. And so I feel that I tell the women, I'm your servant, I want to help you, what do you want?
You listened to the women, obviously, because after the schools were built, you started putting in women's vocational centres, which I love the idea of. I love the idea of the women, the mothers sitting around, having a bit of a break, basically, from their hardships. And I really thought that was completely in evidence that you do listen to them. You do listen, and you're not kind of completely mindsetted on what you want to achieve. You're listening to what their needs are. That really came across.